Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we are talking about how Adam Aaron is telling us about the $75 mark, the AMC squeeze, the parabolic price level, and many more in this video. First, we're taking a look at this. Now, Adam Aaron has been giving us a lot of things recently, and he's been giving us a lot of signs. What he has talked about recently is talking about the AMC A-list, and you can see, look at the blockbusters moving, opening soon at AMC. We have Toy Story 5, Supergirl, Minions and Monsters, and so on and so forth. So firstly, this is already his showing of what AMC's fundamentals is going to look like, how well the box office is going to be, and the attendance that's going to go towards AMC. So you can see that we are very optimistic on the revenue for Q2 of AMC. And of course, going to Q3 as well, it's already going to be a very strong start. And this is what we've seen along with the rest of the other clues that Adam Aaron has been dropping. Yesterday, we talked about briefly how Adam Aaron is obviously hinting at $75. And we are seeing right now, especially with the fact that he has recently bought in, and we've seen this move from AMC that has been ongoing. There are so many different indications right now that AMC is on the move. You can see we are currently up 200% from 52-week lows. Adam Aaron buying and large purchases of short-dated at-the-money calls were a dead giveaway. So we already saw so many signs. When we were at 0.93, we already saw why AMC was undervalued. When we saw AMC go back above $1 and instantly over 100%, and we saw the movements that were happening, that was then the next set of signs that we were covering on this channel. And then we had Adam Aaron buying, we had even more and more call options going in the money. There were so many indications going from a few months ago that we talked about on this channel that showed us exactly what's happening to AMC right now. That allows us to understand what was causing all of this and what will be causing the big movements in AMC. And this is exactly why we're seeing this right now. This is exactly why apes have been ready for what to do. And a big thing about this is also what Adam Aaron did by buying into shares of AMC. Not only was it a boost of confidence because executives are buying AMC, it's also talking about how Adam Aaron knew when to buy because he realized what AMC is about to do. You can see this isn't coincidental. He timed the low and is up 70% on his shares. And what we are seeing right now is exactly why he made those moves. And previously we talked about AMC, how any levels that we are looking at right now will very likely be the last ever time you will see these levels. The reason why I say this is because we've said this firstly at 0.93. And what we then saw was exactly the fact that after that, AMC has not gone below 0.93. The same can then be said as we saw the price climb above. You can see when we went above the $1 area, we have not yet seen it go back to $1. The only questions and some of the things you could say is obviously this pullback that then happened here. But since then, once again, these levels are legacy again. You're not able to be buying back at these levels. We barely saw any pullbacks that pushed us back to these levels. And this is how we're talking about. This is really a once in a lifetime opportunity for AMC right now for investment because of the fact that AMC has been severely undervalued, and any signs of price discovery, any showcases of just people trying to buy into AMC will accelerate the price of AMC. And currently, more and more people are catching on with AMC. They are realizing what there is with AMC. They're realizing why institutions are willing to use debt to convert to as many AMC shares as possible. They're realizing why institutions are willing to buy 5-10% of AMC flow. They're realizing why they are willing to take on all of these risks and not sell their shares despite the average being way above the current price. Is because they've realized the opportunities. And right now, more and more people are realizing this, and it's why we're seeing this explosive movement from AMC. And another big thing, and just like we've said, everything that Adam Aaron has done right now, and going back to what the poll he did yesterday, the $75. So we talked about two things. Firstly, it was the fact that if you guys take a look at this post, there was an original of this post. This was actually the second post. So he edited the first one and posted this. And what we saw was the first one, in the second option of over $75, 6 film in 26, you can see that the final version actually had a typo. So INN instead of IM. The first one was completely correct, yet the second one, the latest one, is actually one that had a typo. Now, there's been many thoughts over this because firstly, it could be talking about $26. But secondly, it's the fact that we are seeing something that already has a dollar sign, over 75, and talking about in 2026. Does this mean that Adam Aron believes AMC can go to $75 in 2026? And so with the fact that we've seen him talk about this, with the fact we see how optimistic it is about AMC, you can see it really looks like he's trying to hint and really highlight this $75. And the fact that he was willing to buy in shares, and at the end of the day, we talked about this, the person who will benefit the most from the price of AMC going up is Adam Aron himself. So you will have to understand is that Adam Aron is willing to do anything to benefit AMC that allows this price to increase. And what better for his shares than to see it go to $75, because he knows that at $75 already it will be worth a ton. But more importantly, at $75, the amount of margin calls that will happen, which will allow to the squeeze of AMC, would also be insane. And that's what it feels like he's trying to hint at. And we can see this right now is that there is panics going on with the shorts. Apes realize what's going on. We are still very still. We understand that this movement, it's a very casual movement. This isn't a squeeze. This isn't anything insane. This isn't anything fancy. It's just real price discovery towards the level we should be. It's just a reflection of how undervalued AMC is, and finally it's getting recognition. But for the short sellers, on the other hand, they have been struggling. When we talk about one of the short sellers, John Hempton, who talking about double down at 193, who talked about double down at 170, and he was very vocal when AMC went to 170 and then went down to 140, 120, he was very vocal. But now, as we see AMC go all the way from that low of 124 to today's high of 283, he has been extremely silent. But this is exactly what we talked about with how the short sellers are in fact panicking. And you can see when AMC traded below $1, haters and trolls flooded X with predictions of delisting and endless reverse split. Funny how many of those accounts disappeared once the narrative stopped matching reality. And the same said for me as well. When AMC was going down, the amount of hate that I was seeing, whether it's on Twitter, wherever it's on video, it was insane. This was when AMC was below 0.93. But one of the biggest things that I talked about was don't let the comments dictate what AMC is, because the short sellers will continue to hate. But just because there are people hating, it doesn't mean that AMC is actually bad. The reality was AMC was undervalued. The box office was thriving. AMC is becoming more and more efficient. So yes, they can laugh at AMC for being below 0.93, below $1. But the truth was AMC was undervalued and it's going to do well and it's going to attract investors. And that's exactly what we did. And that's why these short sellers haters are right now very silent. It's because they've realized what AMC is capable of. And when you take a look at some of the technicals, despite the fact we saw a few days ago when we saw AMC down to 56, you can see how we were met with then 921, 683% in 2 days. And this is what we have to understand right now. Don't be scared when there is small movements, when there is a pullback. A pullback is very normal, because you have to understand that shorts will try and manipulate against AMC at any means possible. But at the end of the day, the momentum, the price discovery for AMC is currently so strong that it doesn't matter. But the biggest thing is to not for you to get shaken out. And that's what we have to understand. And also right now, we're seeing how institutions are buying big blocks again. And this is exactly what we talked about with how they want to buy shares. They are extremely in need of shares. And this is exactly why we've said that this is how we know that people have been accumulating from the start. This is how we know that people are realizing the opportunities. And recently, there's volatility. And we're going to continue to see volatility. But a thing to realize is that it isn't just going to be volatility to the upside, because AMC has had very successful days. Over just the start of this month, we saw AMC having a day where it went over 22%. We've seen days where AMC has gone over 7%. You can see this was 7% 3 days in a row, then followed by small increments, then followed by 9% and a 6.83%. Right? But the same could be said for when we do see red candles. We are also very likely to see days of AMC having red candles where it's over 5%, where it's over 7%, and even where it's over 10%. But don't be shaken out by that. Don't be worried about what's going on, because that is very normal volatility. That's the algos working overtime. That's the rehypothecations of synthetics going overtime. But ultimately, what it is that the amount of volatility, the more volatility we see, the higher it means that we are going to see AMC squeeze. So for me, I won't be afraid. I won't be scared if I were to see AMC go down red by 10%, because I know that very quickly AMC will go up green by 10%, 20%, 30%, and even more. And that's ultimately what's going to lead to the squeeze. And you can see funny how everyone starts to chase and AMC starts to run right after reported short interest fell off. But what I find interesting the most is the fact that AMC has been going up after it's shown that the short interest has gone down, not during the time it has gone down. And this is the one distinction that I think people need to make. If the short interest actually had the truth to it, and it actually had the correlation towards AMC's price, it would be that as we see short interest go down, we see AMC go up. But right now, it's two separate things. Is the short interest has gone down, and then after where it's irrelevant anymore, the price of AMC has gone up, but yet people are linking the two together. And then we have to know is that actually that's not the case. The price of AMC going up had no relation to the short interest going down. And in fact, when you take a look at the synthetic short interest, it has been doing nothing but actually going up. And this is how we know that currently it's just a matter of algos frying, of illiquidity problems, of the over collaterals that are getting margin called and liquidated, and allowing the swap basket to have a negative effect on these longs, and therefore having a positive effect on the shorts, meaning that these short positions are starting to go up. And when we talk about one of the most shortest stocks being AMC, this basket is starting to fail, and it's why we're seeing AMC go up. And you can also see here, DTCC allowed AMC to rise. I hope tomorrow's closing price is above 301. And it's a very, very big thing, because currently AMC is closed at 266. We reached the high of 283. Now, one good thing already is the fact that we closed, or at least we're very close to closing and ending the week above 250. And so that's already going to put another set of options in the money. Bear in mind, we already have the 150 deep in the money, the $2 deep in the money, and now we have 250 in the money and going towards deep in the money. And so if we are able to see it close above 301, that will not only make the 250, which is the goal we had in mind for this week, go deep in the money, but then we beat another goal of going in the money for the $3. And this is how we can see that another set of gamma pressure, another set of forcing the market makers to start hedging. And if we take a look at right now, if we are able to see AMC go above $3, if we're able to see that momentum coming in, there is a series of sequences that is going to happen. Firstly, if we are able to close above 301, the gamma exposure is going to be massive, allows AMC to go up. But price level wise, 307, the $3 area is just a level where if we are able to break it, we can see AMC go parabolic. And so you can start to see why these are all very exciting levels and why people are trying to view and buy as much as possible. Now, you can also see right now is that there is an abundance of AMC shares, 10 million, you guys can see. Now, this was a jump from 6.5 back up to 10 million. And what it feels like right now is that they are worried to short AMC publicly. They want to either naked short or synthetic short AMC, but during here, it still feels like they're scared and worried to actually borrow shares. And it's why we're seeing AMC go up. You can see this is just another reflection of the synthetic basket, but also the swap basket of how they're lacking for liquidity and why we're seeing panic for these short sellers. Also, you can see there are a few important levels. Firstly, we talked about the $3 level and what that means. So the $3 levels has recently got a lot of things tied to it. The gamma exposure, as we see above in the money, $3 calls. What we can also see is the technical levels, is the short levels that were created in the past. But if we are able to break the $3 level, some of the price targets given afterwards are, of course, $7 to $8, then towards 38, and then ultimately towards what Adam Aaron was hinting for 2026 of $75. And that's what we want to see. And during this time, just like what we said with the haters, there are still going to be haters, but they will try and do this otherwise. They will try and convince you that regardless of what AMC is doing, it's still a bad stock. Previously, they were trying to say because AMC was below $1, it's a bad stock. Now, they will say because AMC is above $2, why it's a bad stock. But what you have to ultimately understand is that there are constantly other people who have bought AMC stocks that are the institutions. And if it truly is a bad stock, why would they do this? And so we have to understand is that AMC is moving and the bear suddenly forgot how to type. We have to remember apes never left. And that's just how powerful the apes have been. Also, furthermore on the calls, we can see is that right now we are going to be expecting market makers to see a lot of call buying at $3. You can see why we're really highlighting this $3 right now, because regardless of where the price is right now, we are already seeing the $3 calls seeing a lot of action. The reason why I'm talking about AMC closing above $3 is because that would then cause the calls to go in the money. That would then encourage people to exercise these calls. And if we are able to see the call options being exercised, you're going to be seeing that pressure. You're going to be seeing that volume coming in. And that's exactly what we want to see. So already we're seeing the optimism, the volume in calls, which is already allowing the price of AMC to go up. But then it's more importantly about the more in the money calls we see, the more likely we are going to see it being exercised, the more likely we're going to get that gamma squeeze that we have been talking about. And currently, we are seeing some other levels as well. The $3, one of the levels we've been talking about. We've also been seeing the $10 and $6 calls of AMC being bought. So you can see how optimistic people are and kind of some of the price targets that they are currently aiming for. Now, when you talk about other technical factors, other indicators, you're seeing how other people's squeeze indicators are popping off. And there's no surprise, especially with what's going on right now. But also the fact we are seeing how AMC has crossed above the 365-day moving average for the first time since August 2022. The previous time was in January 2021. So if you want to talk about optimistic signs, if you want to talk about bullish technicals, we are looking at so many ticks right now. We are looking at so many factors being checked right now. And that's how exactly we understand why Adam Aaron is saying what he is. And the overall look on AMC is that institutional, 268 owned, 258 are long only, 4 are short only, 6 are long / short. So once again, tell me why people think AMC is a bad stock. Tell me why we should believe that the media articles who are telling us that no one is buying AMC, that you should be selling AMC. Tell me why we should believe that. Because institutions clearly don't. They're doing the complete opposite. So why should we believe them? Why shouldn't we understand what the value is? Why shouldn't we understand what's discounted? And currently, as we're seeing that no one is selling and that everyone is too scared to short, we're going to be seeing how the algos are going to melt up. We're going to be seeing how AMC is going to go up. And right now, we are seeing how everyone who has their position at a very low average are going to be seeing the price going up. They realize what's going on. And the foundation that has been built by the apes, by the retail, is extremely strong. And it's how we understand we're going to beat these guys. And ultimately, what we can also be seeing is that there's going to be a GME liquidity sweep thanks to the help of AMC. But what this is going to do is that it's going to encourage both the stocks to have very, very good momentum to push both stocks up. And then macro-wise is the private credit that we talked about. And if we want to link something towards why the short sellers been having a liquidity problem, this is one of those. As always, this is financial advice, and I'll catch you guys next time.